All right, Fresh. Let's head down south to Athens, Georgia. Who had this on their bingo card? The Missouri Tigers at 7-1 on the season, 3-1 in the SEC, going to Athens, playing the Georgia Bulldogs. They're 8-0, 5-0 in the conference right now. This is an interesting one here, Fresh. There's a lot at stake in this game. You take a look at Missouri. If Missouri were to win this football game, they would be in the driver's seat to go to Atlanta and put Georgia at a really tough position to play catch up to try to get into that position. This is, if Georgia wins this football game, they have pretty much, I mean, I know that there's an outside chance there would have to be a lot of, well, yeah, this, and then all the tiebreakers come into play and all that nonsense. This is really going to be the determining factor of who represents the SEC East in Atlanta here at the end of the month. And, the East could be decided before it is over. Georgia didn't miss a step without Brock Bowers. It is interesting. I thought that offense would struggle a little bit more. But then you take a look, is coming down off a rivalry game, are you going to be able to get yourself up? Georgia's a 16-point favorite at time of record. Over-under is set at 55.5 points. Fresh, I'll turn it over to you. What do you got for Missouri versus Georgia?
I mean, everyone knows what happened last year. Mizzou gave them the heck of a battle there in Como. Was ugly. They just couldn't find a way to seal the deal. Very similar this year when they hosted LSU. They played great. They were winning most of the ball game. They couldn't find a way to seal the deal. Missouri has Georgia's attention 100%. They had them last year. They were a good team last year. They're a much obviously better team this year. And this is going to be an interesting, how does that team rally after beating Florida in a rivalry game? How do you rally for the stretch run? Mizzou coming off a bye week. There's a lot at play here. What wrinkles does Mizzou have defensively and offensively for this football game? They're going to be a little more healthy after that bye week. How do they take advantage of it and move forward? Mizzou's offense, absolutely amazing. Everyone knows about Luther Burden, Schrader, running back, Cook. The three of them, they're the three-headed monster that have put up points. But really to be successful, who else is going to have to show up is Theo Weiss Jr. and Mookie Cooper. If those two guys can really have big afternoons and contribute in the pass game and blocking for Schrader in the running game, Mizzou could have a really successful day in offense. I think that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to put up tons of points and do it early, and they can't lift their foot off the gas. They kind of struggled down the stretch versus LSU, couldn't finish it out. Last year, they couldn't find that last drive to score a touchdown and seal the deal and put the Dogs away. They have to find ways as they mature as a team to find a way to seal it. Now, going on the road is a lot different than playing at home. And, I got a feeling Sanford's going to be extremely loud. They're open for the challenge. Those fans understand what happened last year in Como, and they're going to try to put a little payback in there. They're going to have to be a difference maker in this football game. Now, don't expect the football to be in either quarterback's hands very long. One of the going to the deep stats. Brady Cook is actually the best in the nation in average time to release on a throw is 2.35 seconds. Number 2 is Carson Beck at 2.36 seconds. So when that ball's in their hands, it's getting released. They're not sitting back there for 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds with sacks potentially coming into play. They're catching it and they're releasing it. Whether it's bubble screens, shallow crosses, whatever they have to do, they're getting rid of the football. So defensive backs, defensive linemen, you're going to have to get your hands in the air and be aware the ball is not going to be sitting back there. So sacks probably aren't going to be that big of a deal with the ball getting released as quickly as it is. One other funny thing, Mizzou plays a base cover 3 defense. The last 3 teams that have played a base 3 cover 3 defense against the Dogs, Florida, Kentucky, and TCU. All 3 of those games, Georgia put up at least 40 points. Will that be a factor, or is that just an oddity? We shall find out on Saturday afternoon. Luther Burden's going to have at least 10 catches this ball game to really have Mizzou in play. Brady Cook's going to have to find him, and I got a feeling Tyke Smith is going to have to be able the guy who's going to line up from the Georgia perspective to cover him in the slot. If he goes outside in Lasters on that side of the field, that's one thing. But if it's in the slot, Tyke Smith's going to have to be there and be locked on him to really limit that passing game. If Burden goes off, this could be a really dangerous afternoon because that Georgia defense, they're continuing to keep growing. This is not the 2021 defense. It's not the 22 defense. This is the 23 defense. They're talented. They're good, but they're not on those elite statuses, and they continue to keep growing and maturing as weeks go by. How will they be able to handle this elite passing game? Because you're going to get this passing game. You're going to get an amazing running game from Ole Miss with the passing attack built into it, and then Tennessee's lethal offense. How do you continue to keep evolving your defense and being able to aggressively defend these three units, limiting the pass rush, keeping your eyes up the field, and covering and tackling at the point of contact? That's what's going to come into play. Third down is also going to be a factor. Missouri is 62nd in the nation on third down conversion rate with 41.49%. Georgia is third at 56.31. Defensively, Missouri is 61st and defensively on third down. Georgia is first. The battle of third down is going to be a huge factor, getting off the field, forcing punts, or converting, keeping drives alive. How will this game play out? I think Carson Beck, the ball's going to be in his hands. He has definitely shown this is the fourth best offense in the nation, 500 yards total offense, and fourth best passing attack, averaging 334. Can that Georgia passing game continue to keep going? Can it continue moving the football down the field and scoring touchdowns? You're going to get a better defensive effort, I think, from Mizzou than you got versus Florida. How does that really come into play on Saturday afternoon? In the end, does the crowd at Sanford make an impact? Is the loud noise going to draw false starts from Mizzou? Or is Mizzou truly a mature football team and ready to take that next step? Coach Drink's done a great job. He's built a great program. They're bringing in great recruits. It's going to be interesting to see how this bye week translates. I got a feeling they're going to come with a little extra wrinkles, come with some trick plays. They know they have it all in front of them, and they have a chance of really pulling off a big upset and putting themselves on the national stage. All said and done, Dogs win by 2 touchdowns. It's going to be a battle all the way through the fourth quarter. I think they find a way to win late. Edwards running the ball with Milton late in the fourth quarter to close it out. But Mizzou will give them a heck of a scare, and it'll be a classic ball game all the way 4 quarters.
So you're saying Mizzou covers the 16?
They will cover the 16, but Georgia will win by 2 touchdowns.
Fresh. If this again, it's kind of the luck of the dogs this year, the luck of the Georgia Bulldogs here. This game's in Missouri. I would be very tempted to take the Tigers in this game. I would be very, very tempted to take Tigers. So when I was looking into this game, Fresh, I started asking myself this question. I'm Coach Drinkowitz, and I'm a few fries short of a Happy Meal, but I like this guy. He's a little crazy, a little bit different,
He's
a little
eccentric,
bit
I think is the best way.
Eccentric is a great word to put it. Like people like that. I'm a fan of people like that. And if I'm thinking about this, what do I need to do to beat Georgia? Like you said, this is not Georgia of 21-22. It's not even the Georgia Bulldogs of 22-23. This is a very good team, but again, a flaw, like we said with other things, they're a flawed football team. This team is not invincible anymore. That era of them, and they may not be invincible, but guess what? That doesn't mean they're going to lose a football game this year either. Missouri, you're going to have to do a few things. You are going to have to take away the key point of their shield, first and foremost, and that's their run defense. Georgia's allowing less than 100 yards rushing on the season this year. That's an important thing. Cody Schrader, I know everyone's going to talk about Brady Cook. I know people are going to talk about Luther, the supervillain Burden wide receiver, but I think it's going to be Cody Schrader. It's averaging 5.8 yards a carry, 9 touchdowns on the season. I'm looking at him to soften up the Georgia defense. And that's going to be something that if I'm thinking about Drinkwitz giving a pregame speech, and I'm thinking about him going in there and saying, what I'm asking you to do is to punch through a brick wall. I'm asking you to continuously punch through a brick wall. And the first 15 times your hand's going to hurt. But sooner or later, what we're hoping is those bricks are going to start to crack. And once those bricks start to crack, then that wall's going to start to crack. You take a look at everything that Georgia's done. And, you take a look at what Carson Beck's done. He's kind of stepped in admirably for Stetson Bennett. And you take a look what Edwards was able to do. He's looked really, really well. Missouri, you're going to have to run the football, and you're going to have to control the time of possession. The only game this season, the only game that's been in doubt for Georgia, and took a miracle effort by Brock Bowers in that fourth quarter against Auburn. Now, Auburn is a turd of a team right now. I don't think very highly of the Auburn Tigers. I'm not a fan of them. But they did something when I went back and I looked at that game, they did something very special. They controlled the time of possession. It's one of the few games that Georgia lost the time of possession battle in there. Missouri, that's the second thing you have to do. So I'm asking, well, Drinkowitz, who is eccentric and off his rocker a little bit, is asking you to punch a brick wall and to basically take care of the football. You hold on to that like it's your whole life force. You can't let Georgia turn you over. You can't let Georgia put you into three and out drives. Listen, it's okay if you punt the football, but what you need to see is you have to limit the amount of offensive cracks that Georgia gets, and then when you get an opportunity to put points on the board, you put points on the board. You come away with the 7, you come away with the 3. You start stacking those scoring drives up, and that's going to give you an opportunity to win at the end. I'm with you here, Fresh. I think Missouri having the week off is going to keep this game a lot closer than people think. Georgia is heading into their toughest part of their schedule. Right now, if you take a look at their strength of schedule, their opponents are 10 games under 500 if you add everybody up. They have 28 wins on the year, over 30, I want to say it's 37, 38 losses. This is one of the first teams Georgia's going up against that has a strong winning record. And it's going to be a tough matchup for them. I'm going to say because the game's in Athens, you're going to get the benefit of it. You're going to get the ball bounced the right way. I'm not going to say it's a 2-touchdown game. I'm going to say Georgia is going to be in a dogfight all afternoon. I think it's going to be a tough one. I think it's going to get very nasty. I think Drinkowitz is going to pull out something that gives Georgia fits. In the end, I think it's going to be Carson Beck making a play right at the end of the game, puts it into a 2-score just out of reach halfway through the fourth quarter. Georgia's going to walk away with about a 10-point win. I would take Missouri and the points, and I'm going to say it's going to be the under. I see like a 14-24 game. I think Georgia's going to be up like something like 17-14 in the fourth quarter, and it's going to be one of those long drives to really put the final nail in the coffin for Missouri.
I think it's going to be a battle, and Missouri's definitely shown growth, and they're only going to continue to get better. If they get this win, they're ahead of the curve. But I think with the recruits that come in next year, the NIL deals there in the state of Missouri really helps them. They're building something there, and it's going to continue to grow. And this is a chance for them to really make a statement. And even if they keep it close, because last year they had a chance, they missed it. They also went to Knoxville, had a chance, and they got blown out in the fourth quarter. They were playing good for about 3 quarters. Where's that development from Coach Drink and that Missouri Tiger team to take the next step? But then also, Carson Beck, now you continue to keep having success. Now your stretch run. Where's this Georgia team continue to keep building out week to week and growing as we move forward?
Right. It will be an interesting one because if Missouri pulls this one off, and it won't be a shocker if they do. It won't be like I won't be completely because Missouri's got some talent over there. It won't be a shocker if they do, but it would tell me that Drinkowitz is way ahead of schedule. Like I would be saying Missouri, although the concerning thing for me is that when you go away from conferences next year, Missouri is going to kind of be a little more cannibalized, and then you're going to add in Oklahoma and Texas. But I think that they're going to be in that second tier of the SEC. I would say that it's going to be 25 before they kind of reach that point. But if they win this game, man, watch out for the Missouri Tigers.
I think Lad McConkey going to be another big factor in the football game like he was versus Florida. But watch out for Dominic Lovett, former Mizzou player transferred in. He could be a big factor late down stretch.
Yeah, get accused for stealing signs. All right, man.
It's only in Michigan, only in Ann Arbor.
Only in Ann Arbor.